Hello, you're listening to Mike Madden on the Odd Show podcast. Here you'll find interviews with authors, musicians, artists and anyone else in and around the arts. Some of the interviews are taken direct from the Arts Show on Expat Radio, with one or two specials in between. This episode features Rockabilly singer, songwriter, guitarist Jacen Bruce. Jacen discusses his musical career and how he came to record an album at Sun Studios in Memphis. It was originally broadcast on Expat Radio on Monday the 22nd of April 2019.
You're listening to Expat Radio, beaming out across France and around the world.
Good evening, this is Mike Madden on Expat Radio, and tonight my special guest is Jacen Bruce. Good evening, Jacen.
Hello, Mike. It's been a while. How are you?
It's been a couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I miss you.
Now, what Jason's referring to there is we spoke a couple of years ago when I was releasing a book called Elvis Under the Covers, and Elvis has played a big part in Jason's life. I believe he actually passed away on your 11th birthday.
He certainly did, yeah. And I remember it specifically on the night. So back in those days we had a black and white telly, and if anybody's old enough to remember, it's when the globe used to revolve round in the middle of the screen.
Yes.
And because it was my birthday, I was allowed to start late, and I think it was about 10 o'clock at night, and there was a news flash saying, out of the blue just came up, Elvis Presley has died, and then the announcer said, hang on a minute, sure, we'll need to get back, and then literally, I think it was 2 minutes later, it was back, the news flash was back, and confirmed that Elvis had passed away. And that was on my 11th birthday, 16th of August 1977, and I couldn't believe it. Didn't sink in. It took me about 3 years to get used to the idea of accepting that he'd gone. You know, so it's no wonder you get all those nonsense things in the papers at the time where is he still alive and he's been faked his death, which is, of course, to my mind, complete rubbish. But no one wanted to accept that he died because we all love him so much, you know, and loved his music. So were you already a big Elvis fan back then when you were 11? Yeah, I was a massive fan because when I was just a little kid, my parents gave me an old record player. They gave me their old vinyl from the 50s, and there was amongst that was the King Creole album, and I used to sit in my bedroom and I would just play the whole album over and over again, sing along to it, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I mean, they gave me all their vinyl, you know, tons of 45s, and it was Elvis which I just couldn't get enough of, you know, just couldn't stop playing Elvis, and to this day, that hasn't changed.
I suppose that was your first experience of, I mean, Elvis wasn't really rockabilly, but it's kind of touching on that genre. So when did you first get interested in sort of the wider music of that era?
Well, I think that just evolved through the years. To be totally frank and totally honest with you, before I played music live and as a profession, I almost call it tunnel vision. I was kind of Elvis or nothing. It was only when I started playing live music that my mind opened up. I was more open to other artists and other bits of music and the way music's put together. I mean, to this day, though, Elvis is the number one. I can't get enough of his music. I mean, I do listen to the Elvis radio because you don't know what song you're going to get next, and I know all his stuff, so I just can't get enough of it, to be honest. It comes back around. It's like you might take someone like Eric Clapton. He always comes back to the blues, and that's where his heart and soul is. So for me, I always come back to Elvis. It always goes around in circles, and I can try and deviate and try and go in different directions or listen to other bits and pieces, but I always come back to Elvis, and it always gives me the thrill of the music never dies. It's there, and it brings back fond memories every time, you know. So that's what it does.
Now, one of your records was reviewed with the line "Cool as Ice Rockabilly for the 21st Century." And obviously Rockabilly is sort of associated with the 50s particularly. So what do you think you've done to bring it into the 21st century?
I think it's because it's part of me. So whenever I write particularly original music, it comes out in the music, and I can't get away from that. So it's always got that influence at the core. So it's country or rockabilly. I'm trying to do that justice and bring it into today's music. So I guess it's being honest with what I'm doing, really, and also making sure that when the finished product is there, I'm really happy with it. Hopefully it transcends and portrays what I'm all about.
Now, when people come to see Jacen Bruce, they can see you in various guises. And one of your bands is called Memphis Underground, which again has been described as Stray Cats meet Johnny Cash. That's a very interesting mixture. So how did you? Are they what you would call your band, or were they just a band that plays along with you?
To be honest, I call all my bands my band. The reason being is because bands are always a problem. You know, people form bands and then they tend to fall out and they tend to crash and die. I don't know. I think the problem with bands is they do so many rehearsals and then they think the easy bit is getting the gigs and getting on with it. But that tends to be the hardest bit because getting the gigs is really tough. So the way I've found it is I get the gigs and then people want to play with you, because if you've got gigs in the book, everyone's there. And that's what they want to do. That's the bottom line. So I kind of think I'm going forward, and I hope that the people that I'm working with will come with me. But if they don't, I'll find other people, and we're going to do it anyway. So, but having said that, my drummer has been with me since I started, and he's still there today. So that's like 25 years or whatever it is. You know, it's quite a long time. I think all my band members have been with me for a very long time, you know, and they all come and go, and that's the nature of life. But that's the way to do it, I believe, is make sure you got gigs, because otherwise it will fizzle out. Everyone will lose interest, because you know what's the point? Otherwise, you need to play, and that's where you get the rewards. So I think that's the way I look at it.
Now, for anybody starting out in rockabilly, there are plenty of outlets for rockabilly, but it's not sort of what you'd call mainstream. So
no.
How did you first get involved in writing your first songs and playing your first guitar and getting your first gigs?
Well, basically, I was petrified of performing live and also forming a band. But I used to get something I wanted to do since I was about 5 years old. I used to dream about it and have these amazing visions of how it would be and how it could be, but I didn't have the courage to do it until I was in my late 20s, and the reason I did it was because it got the better of me. I was okay for a while, and then I get really depressed about not doing it, but at the same time I had the fear of not knowing if I was good enough. So one day I got so annoyed with myself, I put an advert in a music shop, and then I was petrified that somebody may have actually answered the advert, which they did. And then when they did, and this band sort of crashed together, it was called The Midnight Shift. Because it finally happened, I had this strong zest to get gigs. And before we'd even rehearsed and got ourselves together, I had loads of gigs, because all I went out was I just went out and chased gigs. So we did gigs, not rehearsed, and we crashed away for it, but we just got better and better, and the ball started rolling really quickly. We wrote original songs, we recorded, and then I got a gig on the rocking scene at the Tennessee Club, and the whole band, the only person in the band that was really into the music was me, and they were all petrified, because they thought, oh my goodness, we're not real rockabillys, so we're into that music, and they all quit about the day before. And then I had heard of someone called Rick Turner, who's a top rockabilly guitarist, and I called him up, I told him what had happened, and he said, don't worry, mate. In fact, he said, don't worry, Blue. He always called you Blue. And we got this band together for the next night, and that included Lee Hugman, that was Rick Turner, and that was Dave Andrews, and that was Tennessee Club, and we just went and we did the gig. We went in the back room out the back, no rehearsal, went through all the songs and got up and did the gig. That's when I started to do music with the musicians who are into the same kind of thing.
Right.
And it went from there, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite something. So you must have been very nervous that first time, because a lot of the musicians that I've spoken to sort of start off at talent shows and things like that when they're in the teens, and obviously 10 years beyond that to take your first step onto stage, it's like people almost expect you to be accomplished by that age.
Exactly, yeah, they would do, yeah. Mine was fear of it. Mine was, I didn't do music at school or anything like that. In fact, I wasn't even allowed to do music at school, so it was something I wanted to do. So I always had this doubt if I was good enough for it. Now I'm doing it as a profession, so, you know.
You couldn't have gone down that badly then?
If I'm doing it as a profession, then I must be doing something right.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise I'd be doing a different job. But in all honesty, it's like being retired. This is what I would do if I was retired. So I'm a very fortunate person.
Absolutely, yeah. So you also write your own songs. So have you always had a sort of an eye for lyrics or an ear for the guitar melodies?
People are different about lyrics and music. My wife is more interested in lyrics and I'm more interested in the melody, because that's what gets me, is a tune that really gets me. And then if the lyrics are great, that's a bonus. But basically what I tend to do when I write a song, 99% of the songs that I write, I pick up my guitar, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I start strumming some chords and I put a sequence together, and then words start coming into my head or a title, and that's how I tend to write most songs. Sometimes I do write lyrics and then I put the music to it, but mostly I let the guitar and me work out the melody, and then I naturally find words come into my head, and then I work on the lyrics. That's how it tends to work.
Well, we're going to take you back in time now, because we're going to play the first song that you ever wrote.
Yeah.
Now, off air, we were chatting about this, and you said you wrote it before you even knew how to tune a guitar. So how did you put it together?
Well, the interesting thing is, I can't even remember how I thought you'd tune a guitar back then. There was a couple of things, as I said earlier. Number one, I didn't know there was such a thing as concert pitch. I didn't know that like an orchestra or a band would tune to a concert pitch or as near as damn it. So I tuned my guitar to what I thought what tuning was supposed to be. I don't know what the hell the tuning was, but it sounded okay to me. And then I wrote a song. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was called Send Me Away then. And I even recorded it on I can't remember. I think my dad had some sort of equipment and recorded it on there. And then I revisited the song years later when I actually was aware that there was such a thing as concert pitch, and there was a way to tune a guitar for it, because I just had a guitar and I can't even remember how the hell I tuned it up. But anyway, I just made it sound like it sounded okay, is all I can say. Somewhere, I think it's long lost, I do have a tape of the original, but I don't know where the hell it is.
Well, let's stick with the modern version. So this is Jacen Bruce and Send Me Away.
Send me away so I can pray to find another you, with long blonde hair and skin so fair and eyes so bright and blue, with a life so grand. We're playing a band, the songs that made our dreams come true. Send me away so I can pray to find another you. We travel around until we found a sea so clear and blue. We build a place, finish up with lace on a piece just made for two. And when time moves on, it won't be long before we have a little one, with long blonde hair and skin so fair and eyes so bright and blue. It's not just how you look, it's how you make me feel. When I found you, I found love so close and real. Send me away so I can pray to find another you. I wish you were my pearl, you'd know just how I feel. I wish you were my true love, so close and real. But this is just a dream I had, I wish it could come true. So until that day, I hope and pray I'll find another you, with long blonde hair and skin so fair and eyes so bright and blue. Send me away so I can pray to find another you. Send me away so I can pray to find another you. Ba-da-ba.
Expat Digital Radio, online 24/7.
Hello, this is Mike Madden on Expat Radio, and this is the Art Show, and tonight my special guest is Jacen Bruce. Welcome back, Jacen.
Hi again, yeah. It's been great so far. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. Now, that was Send Me Away, the first song you ever wrote. But you've got a very interesting story about an album you made when you went over to Sun Records. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, many years ago, when I met Alison, my wife, she was running the Swindon Rock and Roll Club, and Paul Burleson played there with Rocky Burnett, and we struck up a friendship, and he just said to us, if you ever come to Memphis, give me a call and I'll show you around. And we said, yeah, that's fantastic, thank you so much. And we sort of stayed in touch, and then we actually went to Memphis in, I think it was 98. We stayed at the Heartbreak Hotel, and I tracked down Paul's phone number, left a message on his answer phone, and very quickly he returned the call, called us back, and he said, wait outside your hotel and I'll pick you up and I'll show you around, which he did. And he showed us around all the bits and pieces, the back streets, and we flashed back to the 50s, because he worked for Crown Electric back then, and so did Elvis briefly, of course. So Elvis and Paul knew each other way back then. Of course, Paul was with Johnny Burnett. If you go on my website, there's a whole thing on the Sun album that I did there, and there's a few stories about what happened. But one of the stories which really is incredible is when Elvis lived at Audubon Drive before Graceland, he had Natalie Wood there and Nick Adams. He was going out with Natalie Wood, and he knew that Johnny Burnett and Paul were looking for material. And on this particular day, Paul and Johnny Burnett thought, let's pop up to Audubon Drive and say hi to Elvis. And they went up there, and there was a huge crowd of people, and they thought, we'll leave it. But one of the security guards saw Paul and Johnny Burnett and said, hang on a minute, told Elvis that they were out there, and he said, get them to come in. I've got a stack of vinyl for them to listen to because they're looking for material. So they invited Paul and Johnny Burnett in, and Natalie Wood was there, and Nick Adams, and they just spent the rest of the day going through stacks of demos of vinyl to see if they could find something that they might use. And I mean, Paul said to us that they never found one song they were particularly interested in, but they had a wonderful time. So,
yeah, I can imagine.
It's a hell of a story. I mean, and there are more stories. That was one which really was such an eye-opener, and so interesting and so heartwarming, just really special.
Yeah, and of course these are real people, and Memphis is a real town, and Sun Records is a real recording studio.
Basically, how it all happened, we were in Nashville before we went to Memphis. I rang up Sun Studios, and James Lott, that ran Sun Studios back then and did all the bookings and ran the studio, as the engineer, and he was incredible. I told him that I was a musician from England. I was we were in Nashville. We were going to come to Sun. And I literally chanced my arm and I said, is there any chance I could do a recording session in the studio? And to my surprise, he said, yes, book the studio time in. And he said, I've had a car accident, I can't play guitar for you. He said, I'll get someone in. And then I told him later on that we'd met up with Paul Burleson, and I said, maybe we could ask Paul. And he said, that'd be great. And then I asked Paul, and Paul said, yes, I'd love to do it. I've never recorded at Sun Studios. And at the time, he was managing the Dempseys that played at Presley's. They went on to be in the Walk the Line movie, so they became very successful. What happened was, Paul said, right, I'll pick you up. He took us around the back of Sun Studios, and we hadn't actually been there at that point, so we didn't even go through the main front door. This was in the evening, nighttime gig, and as he walked through the door, the guy that he got in as a session player was Ronnie Smith, and as it turned out, Ronnie Smith was one of Paul's best friends, so neither of them knew they were going to be there, so they couldn't believe it. And so we just had one hell of a night. There was no real plan in the night. We just went through each song. I just shouted out a number. We did 2 or 3 takes until we got a take which we thought was okay. And then we moved on to the next one. And there was no intention of releasing it. It was just recorded direct onto DAT. So you couldn't remix it. It was just a live recording, full stop. And what you got was what was on the tape. It was only years later we were listening back. We thought, we could release this, and that's how the album got released. And in fact, Paul at the end of the night was really frustrated because he thought it was on like a 24 track or something that he could do something with, because he said he would have taken it away and worked on it, but we only had one DAT tape. That was it. It was recorded live. So if you get the album, you've just got basically a live recording. But all in all, it catches the essence, it catches the live vibe, and lots of people that have bought the album said it's their favourite of my albums, which I'm more into my original stuff, but I'm really pleased that I'm pleased they like it. It was just, it's quite exciting because you've got the electricity of live recording. And
so you have made other albums, but what's the difference between recording at Sun and recording at a normal UK studio? Is it still like it was in the 50s?
Yes, it can be, but people these days don't tend to do it that way. That seems to be of old.
Yeah.
There are studios that do that.
Now, we mentioned your website once or twice already. So on there, you've got things like guitar picks and T-shirts for sale. Is that kind of symptomatic of the modern musician, that you've got to sell everything you can because it's you've got to earn a living?
Yeah, I mean, the merchandise is where it's at. I think even the big stars of today, I think they seem to make all their money from the merchandise more so than the music, which is, to me, it's very sad, but it's the nature of the world at the moment. Everyone can download their music for next to nothing if they want to, or it seems to be a hiding to nothing unless you can get your music in a film or something big, or actually manage to get a proper hit. I can have a brilliant night at a gig and I'll think, oh wow, I'm going to sell some CDs, but I don't. I might sell one or two. If I go busking, people want the souvenir of their day when they're out and about in the street, not expecting to hear you play, and they come up and they want a card and where can I get you music and that kind of thing. I mean, so
yeah, it's interesting, that, isn't it? Because you'd have thought that the gig would encourage the purchase more.
I think it's a completely different scenario, busking. First of all, if you're in a town, I was in Cambridge today, thousands of people walking past me today, but the odds of you getting more of a response is unbelievably higher than a gig. It's quite shocking.
Yeah.
Lots of people go and see a band, but they've got no intention of buying an album, or they want to enjoy the music, have a good dance, and go home.
Well, let's get back to more positive vibes and.
Sorry.
No, it's.
So let me make you happy.
That's the way of the world, unfortunately. But so you're working on a new album at the moment called "To Memphis and Back." So what's the story behind that one?
Well, the story behind that is when I do gigs, I get booked from solo to my band, but when a venue books me, how do you describe what you do? Basically, I call it To Memphis and Back because I play from Elvis Presley to George Ezra, but I do it in the rock and roll, rockabilly style. So even Motown I do, but in that style. So people will be familiar with the music. There'll be songs they love, but it will be done in a different style. It'll be upbeat, foot tapping, and that's the way it is. Because I've been describing that way, I thought, well, first time ever in my life, I thought, well, why don't I focus on an album which is not just original, but covers? So why not do from Elvis to Ezra? So it's Elvis Presley songs in the style that I do them in with my band, and George Ezra, because they sit well and they work well together, which is quite surprising. If you think about the difference in time period between the 50s and now, it's a huge gap, but the songs fit so well and they work so well, and George Ezra's songs transcend and work for all ages. I mean, I find that all ages love his music, just like they do with Elvis, so it works really well. And then aside from that, I've written a song called To Memphis and Back from Elvis to Ezra, which will be the title of the album, but also an original song, and which will set the scene, and then the rest of it is cover songs. So the first song I've recorded is Shotgun, and that was played on the radio tonight, actually on BBC Radio. So
excellent.
While I was speaking to you, is had to be played tonight, which is quite nice,
Well, I think we can match the BBC with that one shortly, but before we do that,
well, I think you can go better than that.
Before we get to Shotgun, just tell our listeners where they can find out a little bit more about Jacen Bruce and your music and your CDs and T-shirts.
The first thing to point out is I've got a very unusual spelling of Jacen, and that's not me being big-headed and trying to make myself out to be some sort of star or anything. It's because I was born that way and my parents decided to be different, and they spelled Jacen, Jacen. So it's Jacen, Bruce.com. That's the website. My music is available for iTunes and Amazon and the usual outlets. The album side, in all honesty, these days it seems to be downloads is the way to go. So by all means, buy a CD from my website, from the store. I'm now kind of looking at vinyl as well, because people keep saying to me, "Why don't you release your music on vinyl?" So as long as I've got a market for it, and it's enough people that want to get hold of it, then I'm going to do vinyl. But I've never done vinyl before, but this could be a first. So it seems like that's the current thing to do. So probably do vinyl. The T-shirt side, I mean, you just go on the store and you can just literally go on the link and that's what, and away you go. That's just there if that's something you would like to get hold of. But I think the music is the main thing. That's the thing that really is the core of it all.
Absolutely. So if you can't catch Jacen on the streets of Cambridge, then certainly you can catch him on his website and, as you say, iTunes and all the usual outlets. So it's been a fascinating interview, Jacen.
There's plenty of gigs. There's loads of gigs as well.
All right, yes, of course. Are they listed on your website as well?
Yeah. There's, if you go on the live page, there's absolutely tons of gigs. There's all kinds of things going on. Well, everybody listening, if you'd like to book me in any country, I'm very, very keen to travel and play anywhere, so I'm your flexible friend if you want me out there.
Fantastic. That's how you get your name out there. So it's been wonderful talking to you tonight, Jacen, and hopefully we'll get you back on when this new album comes out.
That'd be cool.
Sadly, we've run out of time, so we're going to play out now with the song we've just been talking about from the album To Memphis and Back. This is Jacen Bruce and Shotgun.
underneath the hot sun, feeling like someone. Oh yes, I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hot sun, feeling like someone, 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 someone. I'll be riding shotgun.
You've been listening to the Arts Show podcast with Mike Madden. Come back soon for more artists, authors, musicians and anyone else connected with the arts. We're going to play out with Mike Sanchez and I Don't Stand a Chance.
Baby, you hiding something that you don't want me to know, because I'm getting a vibe from way down the side, like you're just about ready to go. And you can't tell me where you stayed last night, you just can't cope with treating me right. I'm on the road to heartbreak, now's the time to tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more, I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize I don't stand a chance, I don't stand a chance. You don't wanna know when I can't make you dance. Well, I said goodbye, find yourself another guy. I wish you were mine, but I'm losing my mind. I don't stand a chance. Tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more, I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize